To take the CPU fan off, you need to have your computer running for about 10 to 20 minutes. So plug back in your power supply, plug back in your power switch and your 28 pin connector. And there you are. So all you gotta do is plug back in your 28 pin connector, your power switch all the way down at the bottom right corner. Keep your CPU plugged in, CPU fan plugged in, and I'd wait about 10 minutes. Alright, so when that's been going for a while, you want to shut off your computer entirely. Okay, you want to unplug your power supply again. Unplug your power switch and the 28 pin connector. And unplug the CPU fan. I'm going to take your fan and kind of do little twists, and it should come right out. You want to set that on like a table or something, facing up like this. Now for the CPU itself, there should be a little lever or something. You want to lift that up and then take your CPU and gently take that out of there and set that on like a napkin or something so you don't damage all of these pins here. You put the pin back down, and once all that is all set, you can finally unscrew your motherboard. So there should be a few little screws in here. They don't have to be on very tight, so they shouldn't be that difficult, but there should be like 6 of them in your motherboard connected to the case. I'm going to take all 6 of those out, at least. So the reason why my motherboard is so wobbly is not only because of the case and the back plate, there's also my motherboard. This one is really small, like it should come out to over here so you can screw in these parts as well, but this is such a small motherboard it doesn't really reach all the way, and that's why my GPU came out to over here, and it's so much bigger than my motherboard. This one is very, very old. Okay, I believe I have all of those screws out, so you can literally just take it out. Yep. And you do whatever you want with the old one. You can trash it, or do whatever. I'm probably going to sell mine. This is an AB 3500 Pro 4 ASRock. So now let's just put this back in the original box. And this is that back plate I was talking about. The back plate, like it was sitting right here behind the CPU for more heat resistance. This is like acrylic with the metal, and there's a huge gap. This is my power supply right here. So now you want to get this bad boy open. There we are. Okay. Just take everything out of here. And this is the panel that goes in the side of your PC right here to make sure no dust or anything gets in. And then there's this manual here. I don't really, and there's a CD. Most of them do come with CDs, but no one really uses those anymore. You can read the manual to figure out what's compatible with what, but there's a certain website I use to see what parts of a computer are compatible with my motherboard. I will post that in the description. Alright, so this is the original box for my motherboard. It's really old, as you can see, but regardless, I always keep my computer boxes, my computer part boxes. So I'm literally just gonna set this in here for now. I have all the cords and everything to it, just not right now. And literally just put it away and figure out what to do with it. Anyway, here is the motherboard. I'll just take it out of here real quick. There we are. Brand fucking new. Oh. Okay, you want to line these up a little bit at least. And let's see. Okay, so this motherboard actually fits the entire case. It's not like cut right here, so that is fantastic. The first thing I always do when putting in a computer is I literally just reverse engineer it. So everything that we've already done, just reverse engineer the entire thing. Brand new motherboards usually come with these little plastic parts on the where the CPU fan goes. So I'm literally just gonna take those out because that's what I plan on putting in first. So what that sound was the back plate again. So we are going to take this off. And here we go. This is our new back plate. This is our brand new back plate. We're going to be putting it on. I'll show you guys how to do that. There may be different ways. There may be different ways to do it than how I do it. I do it very annoyingly, I guess. Like, I probably don't even do it right, so let's see. Match up all these holes. Here we go. And you want to take these really, really small screws. It's not focusing, but these really small ones, and the 6 that you took off the motherboard from before. And you want to pop those into each of these holes. They don't need to be like super good on, but like they should be. This motherboard also comes with 2 different sets of SATA ports. They're basically like accessories to your computer. Like usually you can plug in your SSD cards. Mine has 2, so I don't have to worry too much about that. All your accessories, I'm not going to use them right now. My power supply also does come with SATA ports, so I'm not too worried. These ones in the corners might be a little tricky, but you'll get the hang of it. They don't need to go on too much. Make sure they're not too tight so they don't rip the threads out of the screw. Also, if your case is brand new, they should come with screws for the motherboard. I'm going to have to get those out since I have 3 extra more holes than I can use for this motherboard than the last one. Alright, so I put in all these 3 at the bottom and top, and this is what my case came with. I've used these zip ties a few times. I don't really want to mess with these at all, but what I would need are the exact same screws that are up here, but there are a few different types in here, so I have to rummage around in it, look for something. Alright, so I got these 3 screws right here. I'm just going to put those in real quick. I did forget to say this earlier, but I am not a professional whatsoever. This is just a hobby of mine, and I love taking apart electronics for people, or for myself, obviously, and just messing with them, experimenting. And I love taking apart electronics and putting them back together. Always been a hobby of mine. I do phones and computers. I upgrade people's computers if they want me to. Yeah, I just do this all for fun. Alright, once all those are screwed in, you want to put in your CPU again. So once again, lift up this lever. Make sure this little golden triangle is exactly lined up with the triangle. Mine's in the top left. It has to be perfectly lined up with that. Make sure you don't damage any of your pins. And you want to just drop it in there, just like that. Alright. What you also want to do is, depending on how much there is, you want to put a very small pea-sized dot of thermal paste on your CPU as well. I did mine not too long ago. It's not too bad. It's mostly on my fan though. I am going to have to do it pretty soon, but I just cannot right now. So you want to do that and then put your CPU fan on. Be very careful. Make sure your fan is the right way. I have an AMD fan, so mine's going to be just like that. Alright, so once again, you want to screw these in, not too much, not too little. Make sure they go through the hole a little bit at least. These are going to take a little bit longer. They have springs. These ones have springs on it, so it's going to take a little second. So now what you want to do is lift up your computer so it's vertical and get your back plate ready. You're going to want help or an extra hand or something to help you, because the way I do it with this case is not very easy. I'm gonna take the back plate off. I'm gonna take the other side of the computer off. I'm not a very organized person, so this back side of my tower is very messy. Okay. So now you're going to want to put your back plate onto the back of the motherboard. So what you want to do is get one of the corners in and the opposite side corner in at the same time, usually. This one's a little bit finicky, so if you can get it to work, then congratulations. Okay. I believe I just got the corners in. Okay. So now you want to get all these upper corners in. There we go. And then this lower corner. Don't get them in all the way, or you have a chance of putting too much pressure on one spot. There we go. Alright, now you want to lay it back down. Alright, so once you get that situated, we're just going to go ahead and plug that right in here. Okay. So we got all these cords. Okay, I'm going to next plug in my RAM, which is this. Mine's an 8GB RAM once again. And usually it can go in the second power slot if you have one. If you have two, it usually goes in the second and fourth. But I'm not super rich, so I'm just gonna have that in here, and you press it down until it makes that clicking noise, and then that's perfectly fine. Okay, I'm also going to plug in my SATA. Sorry, rather my SSD. So I'm going to get my 1TB. Put this at the top one. This is what I need this for, I think. Alright, so you need to take these pins, put them somewhere so you're not going to break it. Line up which one it's going to be at. Mine's going to be right here. And you tighten down this peg right there. There we go. And now you want to plug in it at a 45-degree angle, like that. So sitting like that. And then is a really small screw, so be careful. You want to lay that flat down, make sure none of the gold is showing up right over here. And you want to just screw that in there. there's that one. And I have two, so I'm going to do that again. Put the peg in the third slot here. Alright, and this is my 550 gigabyte storage, 45-degree angle. Get that screw in there. And there's those two. Okay, enough time for more difficult things. This is your audio. Mine comes from my power supply. My power supply has like basically everything. So you take your audio and kind of pull it through there and try to plug it into this one right here. Mine says AAFP, or might say like HD audio or something like that. Alright, make sure it's all the way plugged in there. And this one kind of hangs loose. It's USB, but I don't really need it. Alright, now for my switches and stuff. Your reset switch usually goes on the bottom right. But first we're going to plug in the power switch LEDs, because those are the smallest ones. There we go. And you want to do the power switch directly next to that one. Right, and then there's this HDD LEDs that goes below your power LEDs. And then right next to that is your reset switch. This is my JTQS. This very top left pin, it looks like a pin belongs in it, but nothing actually does. My old motherboard rather, it was over here, but now it's way down at the bottom right here. Alright, don't forget about your 28-pin connector. Always on the right-hand side right here. You also want to make sure that your CPU power pins are connected up in this top left. Mine is a 2x4 2 connector, obviously. Make sure it does not say PCIe on it. That is for your GPU. So in this computer, I can have up to 6 SATA cables, which is kind of crazy to me, but whatever. This is my PCIe cables. These go in my GPU. We will do that in just a second. So before you put in your GPU or but before you put in your GPU, you might make sure it's clean to your best of your ability with 91% or above alcohol, and make sure that's all set. So now you want to put these pins all at the bottom. My fans are pointing down. I'm not really sure how any of the other ones, but these are also all right here. They're going to be right here on the side of my PC. So we're going to plug in all of my HDMI. So you want to make sure your clip is flipped right here and line all of these clips up with this top one right here. Alright, that fit right in there. Make sure that clip is flipped back up, and there's a lot of wobble in there. Make sure, kind of tug on it a little bit, make sure it's all the way in there. And we're gonna screw this in right here. So this one looks like this little guy right here. That's gonna be to screw back in this to the case, your GPU to the case. And make sure it's nice and tight, not too much wobble. It is over here, so be careful with that. And now you want to take your PCIe cables and make sure those are plugged in. You want to make sure these are in all the way. If they aren't, your computer will not work properly. Alright, I believe I just clipped all those in there correctly. So now there is this little thing on my case. Depends kind of case you have, I guess, but I have this to cover up the little screw and to make sure that is safely secured on all the way. Just make sure you screw that in all the way. There we are. So now this is not going anywhere. So now for the last piece, I'm going to be plugging in my fan here. This fan is on the side, so it's a little bit more difficult than the rest. But all you have to do is line it up, and then you can even hand screw these in if you really want to. It isn't that much of an issue. Alright, then once again, there's these. I should be organizing this a lot better, but just slap that wherever. And there should be, yep, there is a fan pin right there. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to plug that in right here, so I don't have to reach all the way around the GPU just to plug this in. There we are. And this, I'm just going to have it go over here, and it's going to sit at the bottom. Alright, I'm just going to put this back on. It's probably a little dusty, but I'm not going to screw these in yet all the way, just in case something goes wrong.